opinion.
But that still doesn't change the development.
Yeah, pretty slow.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this meeting of the City of Tyler Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. These meetings are open to the public, and we're always glad to have our friends and neighbors and interested parties attend. The first order of business is a roll call to see who's here.
Yes, sir. Carlene Darkbays,
Present.
Clint Childs,
Present.
Philip Humber,
Present.
Christina Davis,
Present.
Michael Carmichael,
Present.
Roy Martinez,
Present.
David Hudson.
President, we have a full commission here today. The Planning and Zoning Commission makes recommendations to the City Council. Any item approved today will be heard by the City Council at its regular meeting on Wednesday, February 25th, commencing at 9 a.m. If you received a notice for this meeting, you also have received a notice for the City Council meeting. If any item is denied, the applicant has 10 calendar days to file a written appeal with the Planning Department. The appeal will then be acted upon by the City Council. If you're here to speak for or against an item, please state your name and address for the record. Comments should be limited to 5 minutes or less, although extensions of time may be granted by the chair upon request. At the conclusion of this meeting, we always have a workshop to plan for next month's meeting, and those meetings are all open to the public, and it will occur immediately after this meeting, and it will be held at the Tyler Development Center across the street at 423 West Ferguson in the large conference room. The first order of business is minutes from our January the 7th meeting. Commissioners had an opportunity to review those. Any corrections, changes, additions? If not, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes from January 7th.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve those minutes. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. We only have one zoning item on the agenda today, and that's PD 25-023 Northern Spruce LLC. Kyle, who's going to do this? Anna?
Good afternoon, Commissioners and everybody present. My name is Anna Luna, and I'm a planner for the city. For this, this request is a plan development site plan amendment. It is located at South Broadway. As you can see, the majority of the adjacent properties to the south, east, and west are zoned R1A, which is our single-family residential district. To the north, it is zoned PCD, which is our planned commercial district. Broadway is designated as a minor arterial to the master street plan, which kind of helps transition the commercial use to residential for the POD, which is what the property is currently zoned. Future land use would be consistent with neighborhood commercial. As you can see, the property is currently undeveloped. Majority of the adjacent properties around the property are developed with single-family homes. To the east, there is an undeveloped lot, and to the north, it is a medical facility. In 2019, the applicant changed the zone from an RMF, which is our multifamily residential district, an R1A, to a POD, which is our planned office district, which required a site plan. It got approved in 2019. When the applicant started the development on the property, it was discovered that what was thought to be an abandoned sewer line became an active one, and it sits right on where the property was proposed to build the building. So the applicant is requesting an amendment in order to be able to develop this property. This is the proposed site plan that was given originally, which proposed two buildings, one of 3,000 square feet to the north and the second one of 6,000 to the south end. The applicant proposed this site plan yesterday. There was high protest from the neighbors in concerns of loss of privacy, drainage impact, increased traffic, building height, and closer proximity to the residents in the south. With that, our first site plan that was given, the applicant got in communication with the neighbors and acknowledged their concerns and submitted this new layout yesterday. We were made aware before the meeting that there is a new layout that we haven't had a chance to see. Of the 14 notices mailed, 6 notices were returned in opposition and 1 was returned in favor of the request. We additionally received 4 additional oppositions outside of the 200 radius buffer notification area, bringing this protest calculation to 20.44%, which would require a 3/4 majority vote at City Council for approval. Staff at this moment recommends to table the item for 30 days for more review of the site plan.
Thank you, Anna. Commissioners, any questions for city staff?
I have a question. Am I understanding correctly that the site plan you showed us just a moment ago, there's another one from today that we don't have yet?
Yes,
So
we
the-
haven't received it either.
Okay, so the one that we're seeing here is not the one that we're being asked to approve?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Christina. Any other questions for city staff? We have some procedural issues here that are a little bit different than normally occur. The staff recommendation is to table this item until the next meeting in 30 days. Part of the reason for that is the community interest, which is obvious, very important. But secondly, there's been a new proposal which I haven't seen, the commission hadn't seen, the city staff has only seen today. And so that puts us in a position where we're really not knowing, we really don't know what's being proposed at this particular time. And so obviously we can't vote on that or approve that or reject it or whatever. However, because this meeting was posted for the public's information, and obviously people have taken an interest and are here. Any person who wishes to speak on this item for or against in general is welcome to do that. Yes, sir.
I would like to speak.
Yes, sir. Would you come to the front mic?
And I would like to speak as well, just after.
We will make time for any person here who wishes to speak in a timely way. Yes, sir.
My name is John Barr. I have, my wife and I own property at 201 Belmead, which is west of this particular site. We're both very much interested in continuing the growth of Tyler. We're invested in our community. For 20 years before I retired, I was on the fire pension board as a trustee. My wife's family has been involved in real estate and development in Tyler for a long time. The thing that, in fact, I spoke for in favor of changing the zoning back in 2019. I met with Mr. Spencer when I looked at my diary. I think it was in 2017 that I talked to him, 2018 timeframe. And he explained he was wanted a building, a small building that would have low traffic in order to practice his profession. I think at the time he may have mentioned water problems. I had previously had a representative from the city come out because I was concerned about that. There are 5 culverts coming off the cul-de-sac at Glenwood or Glen Haven that are 24-inch and one 36-inch, I believe. And at the time, a city rep said, well, I don't think there's gonna be much damage of, water that's coming off. And then, here we are, last year, Cecilia and I spent $32,000 in having concrete poured, and so did Brenda Cameron across the creek, had the same deal. So water is a big concern of mine. And we're talking about the roof. You're looking at 6,000 square feet or whatever in the parking lot. They're overlooking that. We're absolutely deluged with water. And the thing that really sticks in my craw is the manner in which this deal is kind of evolved. It reflects on the city poorly, in that it seems to me there's some kind of back office deal mating with planning and zoning somebody, and it's unfair for me to be throwing that out, but the fact that I get a notice and I hardly have time to react to it. And you're saying, well, yeah, it was sent out on the 15th, but it kind of reminds me of my days in the military where you get some on the agenda and they don't get on the agenda, so they get sidetracked, so they never make it to the agenda. And that's what this appearance to me, and I admit this may be a wrong thing, but it certainly is the appearance of impropriety and all the changes that are taking place. And to go, and I drive down Broadway when I had said, hey, this is going to be one little building. I see there's a big picture of 2 buildings. And that absolutely went berserk. What are you trying to do? And I just can't believe the planning and zoning people know what's going on. It just has the appearances of some back office deal. And I don't like that. And that's the kind of thing that you get drummed out of the core if you're screwing around with stuff like that. And I am very disappointed to say that, because I don't think any of you people would be a party to any of that kind of conduct. So that's, we'll postpone it till next month, but I think if it comes out, it's going to be a small building. Yes, see what's going to happen. But the business of the sewer line being a surprise, if you look at your, Spencer bought that from the Fair family. That lot is shown on when I bought our house, there it shows the sewer line. I'm sure it was on his sewer line, since he's got the lot goes back that direction. So being a surprise, I just, I question it. So there it is. That's my feeling about it. I feel very strongly that it probably the city needs to look at, hey, if we don't make the code, we go back to what the original assignment or whatever the resident designation was, which was residential. But a small office practice would make sense, but that's it. And then try to do, I see other deals are being commercial. Nonsense. So that's all I have to say about it.
Mr. Barr, thank you for your time and presence here today. Any questions for Mr. Barr? Again, thank you for your time and presence. Yes.
Yeah, I actually did a PowerPoint, but I don't really need to go through too much of it now since we're tabling this thing.
Would you state your name and address for the record?
Will Ritchie. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm on Bellmead as well, right behind this ever-changing development that's being proposed. So I started, there's a clicker that we've got, which is incredible. But it is just deny the zoning change. But what I wanted to go through is just really kind of the history of this that Mr. Barr mentioned earlier, and I think Ms. Luna said how there was a POD site plan all the way back in 2019, and that's in Ordinance O-2019-8. In the ordinance, you see this plan right there. That's the first one, and the building is kind of farther away from the homes, 5,600 square feet. 7 years goes by. I don't know why, but there's nothing happening. The next thing that occurs is you can go online. I believe it's on Drake Realty, and there's also a build-to-suit sign by the property that, is saying kind of build-to-suit, I guess, whatever shape. But this is a different site plan. And then on the build-to-suit, when you go online, we see this third one here. That's not a site plan, but, but it says, quote, building size, quote, 8,000 SF. That's drastically increased from the 5,600 square feet that this body approved 7 years ago. Next, we've got This is actually on the agenda, I think, and you got two buildings with 6,000 and then 3,000, and the bigger one that's 6,000, it's closer to homes than the one that was approved in 2019. Next, I think this one came out, it's 6,000, still bigger than the first one, closer to homes as well. I mean, it's shifted differently, but it's still closer to Belmead, and also it looks like within 42 feet of a residential district at Glen Haven, which is a problem when it comes to the dimensional standards set out in the UDC for POD zoning. But, and then this here, this is the new one, the most recent one. My understanding is, I don't know, it came out just earlier today, a few hours ago. This one and that fifth one there, less than 24 hours notice of it. So one of the reasons why I was saying, why I'm thinking we should deny it, and I know we're tabling this, but I just want to highlight sort of the procedural problems that we've got. And with respect to kind of continuing and moving this on down the road, I think we might still need perhaps a new notice to go out, because the notice that did go out, clearly defective. One additional nuance is this notice is talking about an amendment within the quote POD, but the zoning application shows that's different. Here's the zoning application. These are screenshots I took. At A, the request is a general zoning change, and C is where we describe the zoning change, and it is, quote, to rezone the existing properties from POD to PCD. That is a huge and extreme difference because it's commercial. Last 2019, the notice said, and that's see how I do the little highlighter. The notice said in 2019, we were changing the zoning. It gives existing zone and then proposed zone. But this one's only talking about the current zoning, and that's POD. But as we showed, that's not correct because it says PCD. And that might be the reason why the buildings I haven't looked at this one because I don't really know. It's kind of hard to know which is what. But the one, I guess, from 3 times ago has a 6,000 square foot building that is certainly within 42 feet of Belmead homes. And I think that's not allowed based on the dimensional standards table in the UDC for POD, but PCD doesn't have that restriction. I know we've got this kind of what I call a really late audible, but there are several, and I guess I'm making objections here, and maybe that matters or not because we're tabling things, but I do want to note those objections regarding the notice being defective as well as the application, because UDC section 10-584 says it must be correct, and I just don't see how that application that I just showed you can be correct when it's talking about PCD, but the notice is saying POD and a site plan amendment within the POD. But under all these sections of the UCD, I think we've got proper objections to the notice. And then we turn into kind of bigger plans after 7 years, and I just think that's kind of potentially hard to do. Let me see if I have any other comments here. So I mentioned some dimensional standards, and I'll just point those out. The dimensional, and actually here's the POD definition at 10-33D, and it says that reasonable additional requirements, because POD is concerned about protecting the residences and the homes, and you don't have that limitation or whatever the word is, pardon me there, in PCD definition, but in POD, because it's such a important distinction, reasonable additional requirements to make sure it all works, because the quote arrangement of buildings, end quote, shall not adversely affect the use of properties immediately adjacent. That's residential, and adjacent, we've got here this column. I just downloaded this from the city's website, UDC section 1034. Adjacent to residential districts, it says 42. That's for POD. And I spoke with someone named Hunter yesterday at Planning and Zoning, and Hunter confirmed to me that the 42 means the exterior wall of any building within a POD zone has to be 42 separate separation from, a residential district. That's not the case in the combined 9,000 square foot plan that came out or I guess that was in the notice originally that we've got changes on. That's also not the case with the 6,000 square foot one as I see it, because, there's the building, and then here's the, separation, and it says 20 foot, is kind of my understanding of what that means there, and then there's a residential line. So that's sort of another reason. Oh yeah, I'll make this last point, but, because I think we've got evidence here that the 2019 POD and the ordinance there has been abandoned, and actually under section 10655 of the Unified Development Code says when you've got that occurring, it is deemed void. I think you're just going to have to believe me here, because I think I just gave quotes as opposed to giving you the actual picture. But I know I said I know it says deemed void, and then it says if either the developer abandons the plan or the developer fails to follow the construction time schedule. I don't know about that, but it seems the plan is abandoned, the one from in ordinance 2019-8. And then after you've got those two, one of those two items, the next thing you need is evidence that further development under that plan is not contemplated. I think we've clearly got that here. In this scenario, the 2019 POD plan, no one's going to abandon that. I mean, plan contemplates future action on that, because we've got a site plan right here that came out 40 minutes ago or something like that. So I think that is also the reversion of the property to its original zoning is something to consider, in that this body should think about under section 10-655 whenever this thing is adjourned and comes up again with, I guess, new notices and things of that sort. So those are my objections to the plan. I didn't get into the water. I mirror all that with Mr. Barr, as well as I believe there are other neighbors who are going to address that. You're going to have more traffic and everything. On the plan that we're no longer doing, that had the two buildings that combined for 9,000 square feet, that's a 60% increase from the building that was 5,600 square feet in 2019. So kind of what I said in that was, well, traffic is going to be 60% worse, water 60% worse, drainage 60% worse, all of it, because we just got more square footage that is just unfortunately seeing into people's backyards and through their windows. Thank you all for your time today.
Thank you, Mr. Ritchie, for your time and presence. Does anyone have a question for Mr. Ritchie?
Did y'all like my animations?
Very, very, very exciting. Is there another person, or are there others here who would like to speak? Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Lester. I live at 118 Bellmead Lane. Everybody's talked about water and measurements. I'm talking about how sweet our neighborhood is. It's quiet, it's distinct, it's a cul-de-sac, it's a dead end. Very few people come in that don't live there. My view at the front door is trees and everything. I'm gonna come out the front door, I'm gonna look at buildings, trees are gonna be demolished, traffic's gonna be astronomical. I'm just saying, it's a great place to live. My family's lived there for, well, Upton's lived there longer. But I've been there for 40 years. Dad's been there, we've been there since 1970.
Right. Your parents lived there in 1969.
69. I got married in 68. Anyway, technically, I think it's going to be a disaster building this thing. Personally, it's a great place to live. We've never had a for sale sign on our cul-de-sac. It's word of mouth. I mean, I'm sorry y'all don't get to live there. Anyway, thank y'all for my time.
Dr. Lester, thank you for your time and presence. Any questions for Dr. Lester? Are there others who would like to speak?
Hello, I'm Jennifer Gaston. My husband John and I live at 106 Belmead. We've lived there, it'll be 25 years on Labor Day weekend. Mildred Grinstead was our neighbor, and she was our home angel. Because like Tone said, it's hard to get to live on Belmead Lane. And her husband had cancer, and he called John, and he said, "John, I hear you're looking for a house." He was very gentlemanly and very Southern genteel. He wasn't going to call me. He said, "I hear Jennifer has too many shoes." So we waited. Mr. and Mrs. J.W. Matasolio were the residents that built that home. And it was so worth the wait. We've lived there for 25 years. About to be 25 years of marriage. Okay, so I called all of you because as editor of Tyler Today, I'm all about relationships, and I think that's what you are too, and I'm about our community. When I got the notice, I called William, and we had a Friday night conversation. They were in the car, he and Tammy, and you know, it was just shocking. We weren't sure what was going to happen, but no word over 7 years. And here we are, big change. And it's right in our front yard. It's in the Foreman's backyard. It's in the Ritchie's backyard and in the bars. I'm sorry there's a sewer line. I don't think the city can fix that. I don't know that anybody can fix that. I've done what little research I can as a non-attorney. I've talked to William because I think that's what you do is you need to communicate. And I asked him, how far can you push this back? We both agreed, William and I, it's not a property that is suitable for development. That's the biggest problem with this piece. Because of the drainage that has resulted in damage to the bars, to Brenda Cameron, to the Allaire's property, and so it goes. We just foresee more problems down the road. On Saturday, I spoke to William, and I told him, and we just had a conversation. What can you do? And that's why he's trying hard to come up with a solution. Today, I said, again, it was like a cheerleader yell, push it back, way back. It's too close to our neighborhood. It will cause damages with the water that I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure that out. The promotion of selling, of build-to-suit were alarming, but I felt like my trust was in planning and zoning, and it had been approved, and that wasn't out of the realm. But in retrospect, perhaps it is. The bottom line is, this is not developable property. It's a very small space. I don't see how it can possibly have very little on it besides woods. It'd be a beautiful park. Would be cost prohibitive for almost any type of development based on what it is now. I hope that we can all come together to work something out, and I thank you in advance for your attention and diligence in taking care of our community. And please watch after our neighborhood.
Thank you, Mrs. Gaston. Any questions for Jennifer? If not, are there others who would like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name's Amanda Slaughter. I live at 224 Belmead. I too, like many of you in this room, are a Tyler native. Went to Robert E. Lee High School and have lived in many places here in town. 13 years ago, I moved back from New York City, and one of the very first things that I fell in love with again with this city is the green space. How much of it? We live in the Azalea District. It is the heartbeat of Tyler, Texas. When you start chipping away at the Azalea District and all those beautiful homes that have been there longer than any of us in this room, we start chipping away at the soul of Tyler. There are plenty of places to build. My husband's in construction. I teach at TJC. We are part of this community. We have 3 small children, 11, 9, and 6 years old. And they play up and down that street, and they are safe. The last thing we want is development, strangers in those buildings. It's not the same. I propose that this, like Mr. Ritchie said, goes back to its original state of zoning and stay residential to protect our babies and to protect our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you for your time and presence, Mrs. Slaughter. Any questions? Are there others? Yes, sir.
My name is Michael Lair. I've been on 225 Belmead Lane for approximately 15 years. I'm a car dealer, so not an attorney. I don't have a sentimental approach to the property, maybe like some of the cul-de-sac folks do. What I do have, though, is a kind of a painful experience on June 3rd, 2024, when we had a tremendous storm come through Tyler that devastated our community, and the creek, the drainage creek behind my home and James McCain's home, and I think the Barr's home, and I don't know the older lady on Bellhaven, but it was her second go-round where her basement area was flooded totally. Luckily, my home was intact, but it took out my driveway, a brick wall, and the retaining wall. And keep in mind, approximately a year earlier, I had asked the city to come out because there was a sinkhole out by Fair Lane, out by the bridge, where this creek runs. And the city's response was, well, that's your property. I said, this whole drainage creek all the way up to Burkefield Park, because I didn't know exactly how it ran. And they said, yes. And I said, well, so you're telling each individual owner that this drainage creek, and keep in mind on the other side of Fair Lane, William Hart had put in a bag wall about 3 or 4 years previously. And I don't know what the cost of that was, but I know each individual homeowner didn't pay for it. But the city said, hey, it's on you. I said, okay. So this storm comes, destroys the creek, destroys my driveway, destroys the brick wall, to the tune of, and Mr. Barr mentioned what he paid for this drainage. The city paid $32,000. I paid $32,000 for the bag wall. I paid an additional $20,000 for my driveway and brick wall by it. And my concern is with this property that the water will flow, it will increase, incredibly, and I just worry for our neighborhood from that perspective. And I'm not, Will obviously has the dates and when everything was transpiring 7 years ago, more recently. I don't really have knowledge of that, but I certainly think that hopefully the city and planning and zoning look at this very carefully and look at this neighborhood. We're not against growth. We're not against people making money. I'm a car dealer, right? I think that's part of life, but I think there's some things that are very sacred, and I would say, this whole process, you know, and I come in a little bit late because Jennifer got me involved maybe 2 weeks ago. But the whole process smells a little bit. And I'd really ask you to look at it very closely and hopefully act in our favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larry. Any questions for this gentleman? Are there others who would like to speak? John? Mr. Gaston?
My name is John Gaston, and I am Jennifer Gaston's husband. And we live at 106 Belmead here in Tyler. I spoke against this project in 2019. And there were really two primary reasons. One, I was uncomfortable that it was going to be a POD, and I had some degree of security concerns for our neighborhood. And secondly, and probably more importantly, was, what was it going to do to property values and the privacy that we had there? This time around, it's still listed as a POD, but I've not really had a chance to study this new revision. But my concern is not so much the security aspect of it as it is what could happen to our property values and privacy. It is not my intention to make life hard and create problems for Will. However, I think some serious consideration needs to be given to that long-standing residential area. And even more importantly, the people that live on that street, for the most part, are lifetime residents there. They're going to die there. And I think that needs to be taken into consideration. Currently, and I encourage you to do this, especially in the fall and winter months, that's 6 months out of the year, when you go around that circle on Belmead, right now, today, it is a clear shot to look straight up, straight north, and see that spine, that clinic that's up there, clear as day. So there's no amount of good buffer there to keep that from happening if we add a new residence. So as I was saying, it has the potential to be potentially an eyesore. And then the property value issue, I think, has to be considered. And then there's the human element for the long-standing citizens who have lived there a considerable amount of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gaston, for your time and presence here. Are there others who would like to speak? If not, the staff recommendation is to table this item for 30 days. Is that right? Is that what the staff wants to do?
That's correct. That's because we haven't even reviewed the plan that the applicant has submitted. We've had a couple of changes now to the plan, and the plan that was submitted originally was not recommended by staff either. So staff's recommending tabling it.
And when would that meeting be?
Be March 3rd.
Kyle, is 30 days adequate time for y'all to put a good review on it and feel comfortable?
For us to do a review, yes. I still would encourage, the applicant to coordinate with his neighbors to understand their concerns and what they might want to see move forward. I'd probably ask the applicant if he thinks 30 days is sufficient to do that. But for staff review, we can do that.
I have a question, Kyle. Procedurally, if we table it, will new notices go out?
We can provide new notice, yes.
And can you clarify the POD versus PCD that was questioned?
Yeah, the applicant is requesting the POD, that was what was noticed. And so it was never reviewed for a PCD, which would be more of a commercial development, which would be commercial development. PCD would allow many more uses and different development standards, but the applicant is not requesting that, and staff would not review for that or recommend that.
So it is only being requested for office?
Correct.
Heather, do you have something to share with us?
Yes, Commissioner Hudson. Hi, Heather Nick, Assistant City Manager, former Planning Director. And I just wanted to assist Kyle in addressing some procedural items in that as far as the question today, we're being asked, like Kyle mentioned, for a planned office district. And just to remind everyone that, Texas, we're a strong property rights state, which is great. And, to give everyone due process, what owners do, they will come in and they will ask the question. If they have, let's just make it easy and say they have residential property and they want to rezone it to like planned office district, for example, that they have the right to do that. And staff reacts to that question and, we do the technical review and we review that question. There is a state mandated notice that goes out as far as, when these things track through the process for due process. So we make sure that the neighborhood within 200 feet of this request receives that mailed notice. And then from there, and I know that it can seem like there's not enough time, but that also is part of the due process, and that the process has to move forward, and everyone has the chance to consider it and be able to give their feedback and come before you and maybe city council and talk about if they're for or against or indifferent. And so there is also something mentioned on the notice about returning their feedback, their protest, either for or against. And that timing is simply to help staff so they can calculate what you see in red, so we can have a better understanding of what the pulse is of the neighborhood. It doesn't mean that anybody can't come up here the day of and say, hey, I'm against this, or I'm for it. It just helps staff. So that's kind of a friendly, hey, please get it into us so we can help analyze the case and then be able to write up a staff memo for the Planning Commission for you, so that we are hopefully as well informed as we can be with the information that we have on hand. So with that, I just wanted to make sure that everybody kind of understands the process, and that whatever is approved on this site today that we have on record, like for the site plan, that would be what staff would refer to if building plans came in. So we do this every day over at the Tyler Development Center. We compare what is being asked as far as a building permit. Okay, is it zoned correctly? If it's a planned site, we check the site plan to make sure that what we have in building plans matches what we see on the site plan. So just procedurally to kind of unveil how this can be a confusing process, for a lot of folks. And we check the zoning, we make sure everyone has the opportunity to speak and ask the question, and then it can be considered through that process. Is there any questions about that?
Thank you, Heather, for your time.
Thank you, sir.
I have so much more to say that I'm not going to say any of it. Any other person who might like to speak? This is your opportunity. Yes, sir.
Well, one question.
Would you come, I'm sorry, Dr. Lester, would you come to the microphone?
Thank you. Since you all tabled this, do we have to come back 2nd of March to tell us the same thing?
That's, I guess that's one of the things that I would say. It's important for everybody who has an interest in this project in any form, for or against, to be here and let your views be known, whatever they may be.
Well, Your Honor, and it sounds that what we said today means nothing. We have to
No,
come back.
no, sir, no, Dr. Lester, it means a lot. I'm sure that all of these people paid close attention to every word that you said and every word that everybody else said. That's why we're here.
All right, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
May I ask her?
I-
May I ask her?
Yeah, if you'll keep it short, we'll.
On the, if notices are not, or votes, or people don't show up, is that like a default, okay, that person just, we're gonna act like this person just wasn't concerned about the ordeal at all? I mean, so is it like an opt-in or an opt-out kind of thing?
That's a question I've never considered, and we'll try to get an answer to that from legal, from staff and from our attorney.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. Please come to the microphone.
Hi, I'm Trixie Bell Carlock, and my parents and I moved onto Belmead in 1964. My father was the original developer of what is now referred to as Belmead Lane, where all of these speakers have been. My parents were both here in 2019 in opposition to the plans that were proposed at that time, and they were definitely not in favor of it. My mother is here today with me. She still is opposed to it. And I just feel like, I do have one question, because I'm a little confused from what Mr. Ritchie said. And I noticed this was changed to being a POD in 2019. And nothing has been done, and now we're 7 years later. And can it revert? Were you insinuating, Mr. Ritchie, that because no development had been done, that it was left as land, and now it could go back to being residential as it was fully intended? I mean, Nancy Fair was one of the Fairs were very good friends of my parents, and I played all back there in those woods back in the day. So this is certainly residential is the proper designation. I see that I can remember my father saying that land was not made for any development. It's the terrain and the effect it would have on all of the neighbors for multiple reasons.
I understand your question. It's one that's never occurred to me, and I'm not going to answer without consulting the staff and my attorney.
Okay.
But thank you for raising it.
And no problem. I'll be back from Dallas next month, same place, same time. Just different month.
Well, we'll see the other Trixie around town.
That's right.
Are there others?
I just want clarification.
Please come to the microphone, Jennifer.
Jennifer Gaston, 106 Belmead. So this site plan that was presented was not approved by staff or recommended,
Correct.
correct?
That's
And the one that was submitted originally?
The one that we
Or
received
one that-
notice by mail,
the one that was posted for today's hearing.
correct?
That's correct.
And so it was not recommended by
Yes,
your
ma'am.
office. Thank you.
And then subsequently, something else was proposed, and that nobody's, or at least I haven't had an opportunity to see. And so that's at least one of the reasons for tabling. Is that helpful?
Am I correct that this went from multifamily to POD 7 or however many years ago?
I think the northern lot, the 20A was RMF. and 26 was residential or single family. So,
Commissioners, you have any other questions for city staff? If not, it's so very important for citizens to be involved in this community. I'm sorry.
You had a question?
Come to the mic.
Commissioner William Spencer, 200 Glen Haven, and the owner of this lot. I wanted to wait to get everybody's feedback before I stood up and talked with everybody, because it has been an evolving process, and I think Jennifer did a wonderful job of alluding to some of the conversations that we've had to try and address their concerns. Want to do just a quick little history of how we got here and why we got here. So 2019, my wife and I, we were looking at purchasing the fair property, and at that point in time, one of the lots was multifamily. On that lot, there were 3 or 4 different homeless camps. The house had sat empty for 4 to 5 years, and it was becoming a concern. So we had a vision of, hey, I wonder if we could come in and move our family in here and live here, and be a part of the great neighborhood, as everybody's alluded to, and we've loved it. Every minute of it, me and my 5 children. I love being in that neighborhood. I have some of my best friends on the street. I enjoy collaborating with my neighbors on Belmead on this deal. The fact of the matter is, we did not want to be here today. I would have loved to have done the site plan that was approved in 2019. We were actually in construction to do all that stuff, and in coordination with the city. We knew there was a sewer line on the lot. It was just located in the wrong spot. And we built our entire site plan off the location of that sewer line, and we pushed it as far north as we could. And we talked with the neighborhood, and we adjusted the layout as we are right now. And it was one of the toughest days when we hit that active sewer line, and I knew that I'd be here today. So much so that it took us 5 years of paying off debt to get to this point where we've got to do something. I can't just financially fund this. It was never part of the trajectory when we purchased the property. And part of the reason our sale of the property was contingent on the zoning of POD, removal of the multifamily. We would much rather have an office space that I plan to office in on that lot rather than multifamily. Especially with my 5 children running around playing. In communication with several of the neighbors, the plan evolves. And I think Heather did a wonderful job of talking about the evolution of this. And even in talking to staff yesterday and talking about the potentially of having this tabled, it felt like the right thing because it was evolving. Even in conversations with Jennifer this morning of, hey, William, what if we did this? Jennifer, I think we can make that work. What if we did that? So even into, 12:30, I printed this in hopes that we could continue to have dialogue and people here today could see what was being proposed, because I live in the neighborhood. This is my community, and I want to make sure that this is preserved as much as possible. But at the end of the day, financially, we just can't afford for it to sit there. I will say it's been for sale for a year. It still is for sale. We will be upside down at the current listing price on this lot, but it is for sale. And if the neighborhood feels that they would like it to change, they are more than welcome to purchase it. And we will be very reasonable with what that price is. So we're here trying to get out of a rock and a hard spot. And y'all can feel the emotion with everybody. This is emotional for everybody. So with all that, I've brought hard copies just to show you kind of where we are on the evolution of the site plan. 2 buildings, 9,000, down to 1 building, 6,000. That was much closer to the original square footage and the exact same parking layout. This one pushes the whole building and everything to the northeast.
Let me just stop you for a moment. Are
Yes,
you
sir.
about to discuss your new proposal?
And happy to hold if this is not the appropriate setting.
Because it has not been posted, I'd rather not discuss that at this time.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And I'm happy I've got copies if people would like to pick it up. It was hot off the presses. So, absolutely. But here to answer any of the commission's questions, because again, we're here stuck in between a rock and a hard spot. I would much rather go do what was originally set out in the original intent. So,
Thank you for your time and presence. Any questions? All right, thanks again.
thank you.
I was just about to say how important it is for people to participate in this process, which is always open to the public. The staff recommendation is to table for 30 days, at which time we'll be looking at something different, I suppose. Is there a motion?
Chairman, I'll make a motion to go ahead and table PD 25-023.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to table this item for 30 days, and that's March the 3rd, Tuesday, March the 3rd, same time, same place. Any questions, any comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you for all of you for your time and presence. And we're in recess.